the topic of today is about being your true self. And knowing who you eternally are is what would free you from unnecessary suffering, confusion, doubt. Thus, you will live life in a more open, clear, loving, and joyous way. And the love and joy and peace is not dependent on any outer circumstance. It is available because you are living from the core of your being. So it's an effortless love, an effortless joy, an effortless peace. Because that is right within your core, and then you enjoy the fruits of being who you really are. Now, of course, the statement might be tricky because, it can be taken on so many different levels, in so many different perspectives, in so many, different ego, individuality. And so we can today clarify more of being yourself, and how would that feel like, look like, and the knowingness that resides right deep in your core, where there is no room for doubt, no room for uncertainty, no room for separation, because ultimately, even right now, you already are your true self. It is impossible to be separate from you. It is impossible to be separate from the divine and from God. It's impossible. So you are already yourself. The only difference is that you might not be fully aware, fully conscious, fully self-realized. So although we are all one, we are already our true self, there is various degrees of self-realization of that, verification of that, confirmation of who you are. And so, rest assured and relax, because you can't be separate. You can't be someone else. But because of what you might still hold on, or what you might believe that you are, that is a misidentification. It is a misalignment. Yeah, a misalignment. Kind of a forgetfulness of who you are, and losing yourself into something of which you are not. And this return to our true self can also be very beautiful. It is not a burden wherever you are now. It is not a problem. however you are now. There is nothing wrong with you at all. There is no problem. It is only a problem, it is only a resistance when you are in that inner battle within yourself. When thoughts are active and you are resisting thoughts, isn't it? But if you're not resisting thoughts, you can even love the thoughts that appear. It's not a problem. And if you know that, you are not that ever-changing phenomena, then you can relax and you can allow, even if thoughts are active today or now, it's okay. It is really okay to accept and allow everything. Yes, because you are not a thing. You are not an object. Thus, you are okay with anything that is appearing in your presence, in your present awareness. So this is really the key to make your return back to your true self in the most harmonious and pleasant of ways. Is to be in love with you, is to be in love with life. And ultimately, you are showing your love and devotion to God at every second of your life. Now, in that way of living your life and returning to who you really are, can be a very beautiful blossoming. Every closeness you come to yourself, every deeper confirmation, verification of who you are, it is a victory in the eyes of the higher beings and in the higher realms looking down at you here. It is a victory. So your life experiences, the way they mirror to you and reflect to you your present moment, it is there, manufactured in such perfection for you, to only show you the unconsciousness, to only show you the areas that require the conscious awareness to return to. So ultimately, it's a beautiful unfoldment. It's a beautiful revelation that is happening. There is nothing wrong with you. So start practicing being more loving and living more from your heart. Yeah, living more from love. Because without love, your journey will be very dry. It will be very dry. But if you live from a place of loving, awareness and loving beingness, you will see how much richness and beauty and joy, you'll bring upon you and the people around you. Now, something also that it's great to mention and reflect upon, and this has to do with this path of self-realization. Now, of course, we talk a lot about realize yourself, know who you are, so that you can resolve and melt away your difficulties, so that you can no longer unnecessarily suffer. Yeah, so we kind of have this perspective of, yes, let me know who I am so I can get rid of all my pain. I can get rid of all the suffering, and then I am free from everything. So that of course is a good motive to have. It's a good spiritual fire to have inside you, because of course, who wants to live in suffering? Who wants to live in more pain? No one does. So thus awakening to our essential nature, to who we are, will of course alleviate a lot of pain and a lot of suffering and a lot of attachments and misidentifications and confusions of who we think we are. Of course, it's going to alleviate a lot. And the key is your awareness, of course, because that will help you transcend any dualities, any polarities of push and pull, any likes and dislikes. All the bondages can be transcended by your own awareness. So, of course, you're going to feel much better, more free, more open, more spontaneous, more joyous, more blissful, of course. But with this, we also need to look at another further step to this. Because if we're only focusing on ourself alone, at some point this will become very limited as well. If you're only focused on your own well-being, on your own achievements and goals that you want to achieve, then this will also be pretty dry and also very limiting at some point. And you will feel this, you will know this, and you'll experience this. So the next step with self-realization is to live from your consciousness and from your love, in devotion to the divine, in devotion to God within, or God around. Yeah, so you can have devotion to a very impersonal way, which you may say, yes, devotion to the formless, yeah, devotion to that eternal, non-moving consciousness. But you could also bring more heart to it, more love, more selflessness, going beyond the self over and over and over and over. And, it's like living for the sake of, living in devotion to the divine. Wow, that just like enhances and amplifies the richness and the love and the consciousness, and it multiplies by 100 times fold. It becomes even bigger. It intensifies in a way that it multiplies. The love that you maybe are sustaining right now will become 1,000 times more if you're devoting all the love that you are now to the divine and to God. So this is where you can really start tapping into the fruits of the divine within you, because ultimately you are not separate. Ultimately, it is one already, isn't it? Ultimately, the divine resides within you, and you are a part of divine too. And once you practice this inquiry and then devotion on top of it, your life will be full. And full, not for your own sake alone, but for you being in divine union with God, with the divine itself in you. You see how it becomes ever more powerful, ever more purposeful, meaningful. And this is something that we can really, reflect upon, because, of course, as we already have discussed, that being love, living from awareness, this is beautiful. But you can add on the devotional aspect to, surrender whatever is whatever greatness or difficulties, it doesn't really matter. You become the instrument of the divine. And that greater power takes upon you, and you're not the one moving yourself anymore. You're not the one trying to achieve your next goals anymore. No, it's happening because you're selflessly giving yourself to God within you, to the divine within you. And you allow this body vehicle, to be the instrument, to be the channel of these, higher consciousness to move through you, instead of being ignorant of it, instead of only focusing on your goals, on your achievements, on where you want to be. And this is how, in a very simple way, it's very simple. Devotion is simple. You don't need to use your mind in any way. You just really need to be in your heart and really have so much like love and gratitude and trust, and knowing that there is a higher consciousness, a higher being moving through you. And that's how you thin more and more the ego. That's how the ego, the individual self, but even the spiritual self in a sense, because the ego has a lot of subtleties too. It can be the very evident, fighting for its right ego self into, the righteousness and all of that kind of ego and pride and all of that. But then it becomes very spiritual ego. It's still an ego, it's just on a higher vibration. There is still an ego at play. And the way we can thin it out, dissolve it and melt it with so much love and gratitude to the divine, you become more and more transparent. You become more and more selfless. More and more selfless will, and living in union, living as one with divine is something so beautiful that it's for you to explore that. It's for you to experience the presence of that divine flowing through you and moving you. So coming back to being our true self, being our real self, it's really also about, discerning and recognizing that which is not you, by recognizing that which is limiting you, squeezing you in one way or another, and then giving that the love and all the attention it requires with love and kindness and compassion, And gifting it to the divine will help you to release any grudges, any fears, any doubts. And it's like unraveling a knot. It's like there is a bundle of energies in front of you covering your divine being. And these energies are knotted up. And within that, there are so many misidentifications, which are beliefs you've adopted in the past or even now, some spiritual terms too, and ideas about spirituality are also certain beliefs. And eventually, if not now, eventually they will limit you as well. But I understand that we adopt new beliefs along our path, and it's fine until you're, when you're sincere enough and honest enough, and recognizing that that belief is also now limiting me. Thus, it's time to give it up, give it away, gift it back to the divine, because that's how, once again, you become selfless, transparent, and not holding anything tight, not holding any attachments of desires or some things you want to, make you feel in some particular way or another. So unraveling the knots, yes, unraveling, parts and parts of this great knot of identity is of course the way to go beyond that identity, the bundles of beliefs and conditionings, into your nature, your natural, normal self. But even normal can be tricky, because normal is taken as something you are used to, something you do every day, and it becomes normal. It is not the normal we are speaking of. It is the normal, natural, which is which has no misidentifications and has clarity of knowing and sensing and experiencing your natural self and your divine self. And what I found along my way, that the more I allowed, the more I melted away anything which squeezed me, gave me more openness, awareness, love, and joy. When we stop fighting, when we stop battling inside of us, this is the way, this is not the way, this is right, this is wrong, or I should not experience this, or but I need to experience that. This is a constant inner battle. And who is in battle with whom? Because your divine self is absolutely not in battle with anything. It's just the ego playing out its own game. And so if you practice, loving everything that appears in your present moment, you will have no more problems in your life. No more problems about you and who you are, because you can live in total acceptance of every moment as it comes to you. Your arms are wide open, accepting it, taking it all in. But this is why your love is so important, because you won't be able to do this without love, without the higher love, this higher intelligence of divine, of oneness. That is how you will be able to do it.